It is not that we have little time, it is that we waste so much of it. That is a Seneca quote. So Seneca is just a Stoic Greek philosopher. And I'm not going to do a Molly May. I know we all have different amounts of time in a day. I know we all don't have the same 24 hours. It very much varies. Like if you've got kids, that's already going to play a huge part in the time that you can spend within your day. However, for the purpose of this episode, what we are going to talk about is those, let's say for argument's sake, 7 hours, 7 working hours that you have within your day. And the fact that more than ever, managers are disengaging. We're showing that we hate our jobs. We are disengaged from our jobs. We don't like it. There's too much emotional labor. We're going to really explore the facets of how to make sure that those 7 hours per day are not miserable or not horrible. Make sure that we use them well. Time is your most valuable resource. It's literally the only one that we cannot make more of. We can make more friends, we can make more money, we can gain more status, but time is the one thing that you will never get back. And it's also the one thing that will allow you to build all of the other things. And the older I get, like the more experienced I become within leadership, the more I respect the people who aren't constantly busy and who have the ability to build boundaries around and protect their time. So that's what this episode is going to do. It's going to give you the strategies, the plan of exactly how I have really gone on this journey over the last few years of protecting my own time, why that's been so important, but also the things that I've found difficult in doing it because it's not all been plain sailing. I want you to get familiar with this idea of buying back your time, buying it back. And I don't always mean with money. Sometimes I mean you have to spend a little bit of time up front to buy back a lot more time in the long run. So an example I'm going to give you of this is delegation. Let's think about the concept of delegation, okay? Let's say that I'm going to use a really, an example from my business right now. Tisha needs to build a social media asset. Let's say she's building out a carousel for our social media. She sends it over to me, and there's a couple of slides that I'm not quite keen on that I would do something slightly differently. In that moment, I have 2 choices. Choice 1, edit it and send it back over to Tisha and say, thanks, I've corrected it, approved it, whatever, you can now go ahead and post it. Quicker, fast, okay? Option 2, spend a bit of time with Tisha, and you can do this on like a Loom video, screen recording video, or you could just ring them on Slack or Teams and have a quick call. You could set 10 minutes for the next morning. I am going to talk you through the process of my thinking as to why I'm not sure these slides are right and what I would have done differently, and help give her some of my marketing knowledge from the past few years, help to explain to her like the psychological reasoning behind why I would have done what I would have done, and then asked her to go away and try again and then come back. There's a big difference, okay? The first one, it's quicker for me in the moment. Like it's so much quicker for me to just go, yeah, here's the edit, it's done. But taking that extra time, that's proper delegation, proper coaching and delegation is not just telling people what to do and when to do it for and how to do it. Proper delegation is explaining the context. It's telling them the why, the psychological reasoning. It's imparting your learnings and knowledge. It's exploring, do we need a system here? Like, do we need to write down these rules about these carousels so that next time you know exactly where to go to look, so you don't even have to come to me for this approval? And this is what I see now as buying back my time, because yes, of course, that takes more time in the moment. Like it's going to take 15 minutes, or I'm going to have to record a video. I'm going to have to exert a bit more energy explaining that thing in deeper detail. But we're now out at the point with Tisha. Tisha's, I think, 6 months in to her job, where I've bought back that time. I've coached her. I've taught her as much as I can. I've taught her, every time I hand something over, I explain to her the reasoning, the context, the why. She's now taking that and running for the hills and running with it. And we're getting to the point where I don't need to explain the context anymore. And as the content comes through, I barely even need to approve it. It's just like a couple of tiny, tiny things. And that is buying back your time. So many of us managers are stuck in this mode of like, how do I just do the quickest, easiest way around the mountain as possible? How do I take the fastest route to get to the other side of this immediate mountain? And then we get to the other side of that mountain and you turn around and you're like, shit, there's a whole other mountain now that I've got to climb, and then a bigger one after that and a bigger one after that. When we could have just taken the slightly longer route, gone to the other side, and then the car park's right there. And it's like, how do we make sure that we're not just taking the quick, easy route for a quick time win in the moment? Because I promise future you is going to be annoyed at it. This leads me on to something that you can't talk about time without talking about the word no. Okay, you cannot talk about time without accepting that the only way you gain more time for yourself, you value your own time more and other people value you for it, is getting really fucking good at saying no to things that you either don't want to do, you're not good at doing, you shouldn't be doing, pushing back and setting boundaries. And setting those boundaries is really tough. I remember the scariest time I ever pushed back. This sounds so menial right now saying it out loud, but at the time I was terrified, was the first time I pushed back on a meeting to my own boss. And I'd got this meeting request, and it was like, I think there was maybe 5 or 6 of us in the meeting, and I had to go back to her and say, as much as, I appreciate this is valuable, I'd love to be in it. Is it okay if I just join for the first 15 minutes because I've got to prioritize X, Y, and Z? And the first time I did that, I was like terrified. But what I hadn't realized is other people respect you more and respect your time more when you respect it yourself. We will use this word respect a lot in my world, in like my ecosystem of content on YouTube, TikTok, whatever. I use the word respect a lot because so many managers come to me and say, how do I get my team to respect me? How do I build respect with my team? And the truth is, you actually can't get people to respect you, especially not if you don't respect yourself first. Respect is something I think that's internal. Like, it starts with you. Do you respect your own time? You can say, oh, the company doesn't respect my time. My manager doesn't respect my time. Well, do you? Like, are you just saying yes to all these meetings? Because if so, how can you expect other people to when you've constantly taught them, yes, I'll jump in at last minute. Yes, I'll fix that problem for you. Yes, I'll say yes to this meeting. And so we can't talk about this idea, this concept of loving our job more through saving time without talking about the word no and setting boundaries and pushing back. It's funny because on the internet you will see 1,000,001 different like productivity hacks, time blocking planners. You'll see 1,000,001 of them. I guarantee, as someone who has tried all of them, none of them will be a magic pill. Like, none of them will fix your issues with the fact that time is the biggest thing that you struggle with. When I speak to managers about this as well, what they'll often say to me is, the problem is they want to use kind of all these systems and frameworks that I talk about, one-on-ones, delegation, etc. They want to be a better leader, but they just struggle with time. And that is the difference between working on the urgent versus working on the important. The distinction we have to make in our head is the urgent work is often the safer work. What I mean by urgent is things that, if they don't happen today or in the next week, you will notice. So emails don't get answered. Let's say you don't go to meetings, you don't answer a client, you don't answer a team member on Slack. All of those things are urgent, what we class as urgent, and our brain recognizes them as urgent. They're also very safe. They're generally like the business as usual tasks. You know how to do them in your sleep. They're kind of easy. You're not trying new things. You're not experimenting. You're not getting rejected. Like, they are easy, safe things for you to do. And so you by default will always be working there. You'll always be working in that urgent, because if you don't do it this time next week, someone will notice, or you will notice. Your to-do list will keep getting longer and longer. But there's another side of work, which is called the important. And the urgent important, they both sit on something called the Eisenhower matrix, which, if you've not heard of it, just a matrix to show some work is urgent and important, some work is urgent but not important, and it kind of shows you this way to sort of divvy up your tasks. For me, honestly, the reason I'm not going to talk you through that matrix is because I have simplified it in my head, where I don't use a matrix. I just have a task list inside my Notion that is literally just urgent and important. In the urgent is my normal day-to-day to-do list. And then the important is the working on the business, working on the team, working on my own leadership, on my own career. You will find things in there like building out systems. You will find things like building out a podcast, or like Custard is a really important one. Custard was a project. So Custard, for those who don't know already, is our culture intelligent platform for managers. Go check it out. I'll put the link in the show notes. You should definitely check it and try a free trial. Nice little plug there. But Custard was an important project for us. It was something that, for the first couple of years running Fresh Leadership World, it was this idea. It was a note in my notes app. It was through having all these conversations with managers and realizing that we needed this tool to measure the data inside of our team. And we then needed like the support to be able to do it and the scale to be able to do it at, etc. For a long time, it was just in my important list. And here's the thing with important stuff is if you don't do it, no one notices. So we were, for the first couple of years of Fresh Leadership World, making good money, through workshops, through our Fresh Start Bootcamp, through brand deals, making a good amount of money, like a good, what we would call a lifestyle business. And it was very cushy. We were in our comfort zone for a long time. And custard, as a product, just sat there on this important list. And if I didn't do it that week, no one would have noticed. And this is the thing you have to realize, right? As human beings, we're so good at working to the last minute. We're so good at working to deadlines, not letting other people down, never, like, not pushing things out, not letting people down. The question you have to ask yourself is, what happens when there isn't a last minute? What happens when that last minute doesn't exist? The deadline doesn't exist. The deadline is whenever the hell you decide you want to do it. Because I guarantee your subconscious brain will always prioritize the urgent stuff. My brain did for a long time. I was constantly just going back to the urgent, replying to clients as quickly as possible, posting social media content every single day. All the stuff that if I didn't do, yes, people would notice, but it was urgent, it was safe. It wasn't the important. And the important is the things that will move you forward. They tend to be the bigger projects, the more innovative projects, the things that allow you to work on, whether it's the personal development, the system building. They normally just take longer. Like, you're normally talking about a couple of hours at least to get your head stuck into the beginning of one of these projects. But what I've found over time, the best way that I work to this is, first of all, just being aware. So being aware that there's a difference between urgent and important. Being aware that is there a last minute if I don't put one on it, if I don't force myself. But then the next thing that's really helped me is forcefully blocking out full days. So I used to think that, say if I had like a day, 7 hours of work, whatever, and I just had 1 or 2 meetings, that it's fine because I've got, 5 other working hours in that day. So therefore, surely I can work on the important stuff then. However, as you will know, and I do better than anyone else, if you have a meeting at 10 a.m., at 10 till 11, you are going to come into the office, you're going to start work at 9, you've got a meeting at 10. So you're not going to get stuck into any deep focus work. I wouldn't. You're just going to answer your emails, you're going to check Slack, you're going to tick some things off because you've only got an hour. You need to prep for the meeting. You go into the meeting, it finishes at 11, you've got a set of 3 actions that you need to do off the back of that meeting. You need to go and organize some stuff. Next thing you know, it's lunchtime. It's 12, half 12. So you have your lunch, it's 1, half 1. You've now got one other meeting, let's say 3 p.m. You've only got an hour and a half. Again, you're not going to get stuck into that deep focus work. You've not got time. You've not got the headspace for it. And so you just prep, you do more emails, you get stuck in the day-to-day. You do the meeting at 3 p.m. Then by the time you're finished, as you know, you've got a couple of actions and it's basically time to go home, and no one who has energy still after 4 p.m. And it's like, this is how destructive meetings really can be to progress if you're not so careful. 2 meetings in a day doesn't seem like a lot. That is very, very normal, if not quite low. Yet just those 2 meetings being positioned at the wrong time could throw off an entire day of progress. And so what I do now, I've tried so many different methods with this over the years, but what has worked so well for me over the last couple of years is blocking out full days. So yesterday was Monday. I didn't have a single meeting. I had a small day to catch up with the team, but after that, nothing. Completely free all day, because I needed to get stuck into some chunky work for Custard, project work, deep work that required at least 4 hours so that I could spend the first hour just mentally preparing to get myself focused, researching, then actually getting stuck in, and then just, not having to worry about this impending meeting that I've got coming up. And so the way I do it now is like block out the days. Usually I will like fiercely block out Monday, Thursday, Friday, and normally 1 or 2 meetings will creep in, and then Tuesday and Wednesday are my like doing days. Like I'll be doing stuff, I'll be with other people, doing meetings, and it's okay if it slips slightly. Like quite often I can't avoid a Thursday meeting, but I'm just so forceful. And another thing you have to be very careful of is if someone puts a meeting in 2 weeks' time, your calendar in 2 weeks is going to look pretty clear right now, as all of our calendars will do. Pretty chill, pretty clear, pretty easy. by the time that week comes round, it won't be clear. You think just by pushing it forward a couple of weeks that it'll magically, you'll be less busy. It doesn't. So don't decide, oh, if I do it in 2 weeks, I'll have more time for it, because that just won't happen. If that meeting isn't valuable this week, is it valuable at all? Another big tool that you should keep in your belt is with meetings. People are always shocked when I set like a 20-minute meeting. And I have 20-minute meetings all the time. People are always shocked. Say, I had someone reached out to me on LinkedIn who wanted to just chat to me and ask me for some advice on a new business idea. And he's great, and kind of know him well, and I wanted to speak to him about it. But a lot of people would have just said, yeah, let's have an hour. Let's put an hour in. I'm like 20 minutes. And I guarantee there would be there's so few more things we could have got done in an hour than we could in 20 minutes. Because when a meeting is 20 minutes, it forces you into the discipline of let's get this shit done. We've not got time for small talk, not got time for niceties. Everyone needs to prep. Everyone needs to understand the agenda. You need to turn up ready. We need to discuss and we need to decide. Get better with how you use your time day to day. Another really great tool that I mentioned it a little bit earlier is Loom. If you guys aren't using Loom yet, honestly, it changed my life, and it's free. It's just a Chrome extension. Obviously, this is not sponsored, but we genuinely just use it all the time. Loom, Loom, Chrome extension. You can just attach it to Chrome, you click it, and you can do a screen recording. It saves so many meetings for you and your team because you can just give them feedback on something really quickly. We use it now with the developer for Custard, where if we get feedback from a user, I'll send a screen recording over to the developer saying here's what the use case is, here's what the issue is, how long is it going to take to get it sorted. I also use Loom for when I have proposal sessions for clients. So I get them on a call, do the whole sales, understanding their goals, understanding what they need to do in order to grow, how I can help them. I send them over a proposal afterwards, and I always send it with a Loom video because I want those people, I want the person that I've had that time on the call with to be able to go away and relay that information as best possible to their colleagues, to the other decision makers. And if I give them a Loom video, they can just go and show them that Loom video instead of having to explain it. And this is why I hate the word passionate for some reason, but I am really passionate about middle management. And I always say we need to rebrand middle management. We need to make middle management sexy again, because people have this view of middle managers that is very Karen, and we need to rebrand the word Karen as well, the name Karen. People have this view of middle managers that we are annoying, boring, jobs worth, just this awful view, when in reality, we hold the entire emotional pressure of the organization. Middle managers are the translators. They are the people who take the strategy from the top, translate it downwards. And we know from study after study, research after research, that if you have a bad middle manager, their impact on the team can sway 70% either way. So a great manager, a team will be 70% more engaged. A bad manager, 70% less engaged. Just think about how much emotional weight that has on a manager. We also know the stat I talk about all the time, which is 69% of team members say their manager has more impact on their mental health than their therapist or their doctor, and the same amount as their partner. So it's we can't ignore the fact that middle managers are wildly important to businesses, yet businesses just ignore them, just completely ignore them. And so we have to, as middle managers, this is why there is this epidemic of middle managers disengaging and not enjoying their job, is because the view of middle management is so in the gutter. It's embarrassing, and it annoys me. Obviously, I am on the side of TikTok where leadership, entrepreneurship is my entire fucking algorithm. And I always see the videos of people taking the piss out of managers. This is why on my page you will never really see the comedy content taking the piss out of managers, because a lot of people love to do it and they get a lot of clicks and they get a lot of views, but it's just not helpful. I would get so much more of a bigger audience, of a wider audience, if I started slagging off managers. And we did a series recently that me and Tisha have decided to retire. We did a series on Instagram and TikTok that was called Manager Please, where it was we take all the worst manager stories. We had people texting in, messaging in, Instagramming in to tell us their worst stories of their managers, and there were so many bad ones. And so on this series called Manager Please, we were talking about these manager stories and kind of exposing why they were so bad and what that manager could have done instead. And I said to Tisha, I think we posted 2 of the videos and it was fine. I said, I think we just need to pull this back because we're on the wrong side. Like, we're on the side of the managers. We're on your side, my side. I am also obviously a manager myself. Like, we're on the side of the managers where, no, we don't get it perfect all the time, but it's just hard. And something I really want to acknowledge here is for women, like, we also carry not only like the emotional labor burden of leadership, but it's so common for women to also take on like the cultural burden inside a team. So for example, I know that a friend works inside a business and she's recently taken on like organizing the team days and a bit of HR responsibility when she's not trained or, you know, anything in HR, because she's a woman. Those things just naturally fall on us to do, like keep the team cohesive, the emotional intelligence of the team, like keep everyone together. And so there's all this like extra burden that falls on us. And it really does mean we have to, the only way we can fight back is to get so strict over our time. So don't be afraid to push back on those meetings. Don't be afraid to have 15-minute meetings, 10-minute meetings, and be really cautious around that focus time, that energy and that focus time. How are you going to spend it on urgent? How are you going to spend it on important? Turn off notifications. Like, I think I read a stat once that was like, if you get a notification during focus time, it will take you 20 minutes to get back into focus. And I actually think that's worse nowadays, because sometimes if I have a notification on my phone, I go to it and before I know it, this is so embarrassing. Like, before I know it, I'm just on TikTok. Somehow I find myself in the middle of a doom scroll. Like, sometimes I go to do a 2-factor authentication and next thing you know, I'm 10 minutes deep into a scroll on Instagram. I'm like, how did I even get here? And so there's so much in today's digital economy that is trying to steal your focus and attention away. And you've got to force yourself away from it, push yourself back from it. I actually think I think 2 solid hours of work, you know, if you had 2 hours a day where you were like completely focused, not distracted at all, deeply focused on your team, on the business, would actually outweigh 8 messy scattered hours. Like, that's what I believe to be true now. And I got a comment on one of my LinkedIn posts the other week when we were talking about launching this podcast and, you know, do we do it alongside launching Custard, etc. And someone commented on it saying, Heather, when do you sleep? And I read the comment and I was like, oh yeah, it does seem like we're doing a lot. So why am I not stressed? Like, why am I not overwhelmed? And it's because I just say no. I cannot tell you how many times I say no. I get invited to so many cool events down in London and I say no to them, with cool people doing amazing things, because is it actually helping me, you know, reach my mission of building a world where everyone loves the work they do? Is it really helping us build a business that's going to challenge and fulfill the team and keep growing them? Like, or is it just a massage for my ego? Because a lot of these things, these events where you get to, you know, like rub noses with people, with influencers or whatever, they are just a massage of my ego. And so I just keep saying no. And some people would say that that's bad for PR. In fact, many people have told me you need to do it for PR purposes. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't just know. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think. Would you want to see me at these influencer events? But I just know that the more I refine my time, the more I say no, the more I push back, it means I have time and space to create all these things that on the outside look like I'm doing absolute shitloads. Whereas, like, if you'd have seen me yesterday, I have spare time. I'm reading for at least an hour every day. I'm watching TV with Shah for at least an hour every day. I'm cooking. I'm going to the gym every day. And like when I say this, it's with a pinch of salt. People who have kids, I know you always come at me and you're like, oh, she wouldn't be saying this if she had kids. I know that. I'm not saying that. I'm just talking about pushing back on the things that are useless inside work. Pushing back on the things that we use up so much of our time for, but that bring no value to our life. And so I would highly just recommend, maybe it's finding that vision that's really helped me. Like, maybe it's been understanding clearly what my vision and mission is, which is to build a world where everyone loves the work they do. Therefore, outside of that, some of the things that come up, I can clearly say, does this take me closer or does it not? So maybe we all need to find that mission and vision. And it doesn't have to be as, you know, like idealistic as the one that I've said. It could be something such as like building a great life for my family. It could be something like, creating something with inside work for your career. I don't know, whatever that is, you need to go find it, because maybe that's going to help us all decide what we say yes and what we say no to, decide those boundaries. But the big message here is you're not alone. Like, time is the only finite resource, but it's the biggest. When I sit in rooms and do workshops with managers month in, month out, and I go around the room and I say to them, what are you struggling with the most in leadership right now? 70% of them guaranteed will say time in some way or another. And so please just find a bit of comfort in the fact that it's not just you, like, you're not bad at your job. It's just that the emotional and physical pressure from modern day leadership, what is expected of managers and what is given in return, is so unrealistic, so unsupported, so difficult. And so you're not alone, but we know that now we're in a management position, we kind of can't, the book has to stop with us. We do have to take ownership for this problem. So force yourself to say no, force yourself to start reducing, force yourself to time block, and really figure out what you're going to spend time on that is important versus what is just ego, dopamine hitting, ticking that box, urgent stuff. And that leads me to a great point, which is, if you want help doing that, this is exactly why we built Custard, guys. So Custard gives you data points from every single one of your team members as a manager. It uses weekly pulse surveys to tell you as a manager exactly where you need to be focusing your attention right now, exactly, how to level up your team, which areas they need improvement in and which they don't. Custard is working on your team. It is the important work. It's the important stuff, the culture, the leadership, the growing your career, the growing your team's career. We always have incredible offers on. So go down to the description, click the link, and you can start a free trial. Just test it out. You don't have to commit. You don't have to carry on. Just go test it out. I know you want to. Thank you so much for being here every single week. So I have an ask. We are going to do an incredible episode in a few weeks' time where we talk through all of your dilemmas and we undo every single one of them. We talk through them, all of your leadership struggles. So please email your biggest leadership struggle to hello@theboardroompodcast.com. I'll put it in the show notes so you can copy and paste it. Tell us what is your biggest leadership struggle right now. We will keep everything very strictly anonymous, and tell us that struggle, because we'll most likely come onto this episode in a couple of weeks' time and we will dissect, we will solve all of those issues together. I'd love to hear from you. And I'll see you next week for another episode of The Boardroom.